I'm Doctor Mike Trubetskov, and my band is The Overcoming Project. Have some cool musicians on board, and yeah, got a few songs out now.
Beautiful, mate. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Cheers.
So before we get into it, mate, so tell us a bit about The Overcoming Project. Like, it's a solo venture of yours, but aside from that, I don't know too much. So give us some background.
Yeah, it's a solo well, it's an interesting one because I've been in a band called Gift of Madness in Moscow. When I moved here in Australia 8 years ago, I had no band and I had no one, I knew no one. And I kept writing some music and I kept refining some ideas, and then just, they were sitting there, you know, and then I had some, you know, doctorate challenges and just visa challenges and just life challenges in general, and I kept putting them into those riffs and into that musical sort of direction, and they were just sitting there. And in 2020, well, I think it was 2019, I decided that I want to bloody publish them, and I started with the track Anxiety, which we did together. We published it Heavy, and yeah, I hired some session musicians. Mike Heller from Fear Factory, he's a session drummer. Jon Howard from Threat Signal, he's a session vocalist, now he's a mate. And we also collaborated with my mate Sergey, who's from Moscow, Russia. He's my old friend and colleague. We did some stuff in Russian music scene back then. And yeah, that's how it came together, I guess.
Very cool. So is being a soloist more because like you keep complete control over your music, or is it more just easier that way?
It's just easier, and it just worked that way. And I wanted a very high quality studio recording and a bit of a challenge in terms of production, in terms of how things are put together rather than played. You know, there were really particular ideas about the guitar tone and the guitar performance and stuff like that, about drums, about bass. And it's just, yeah, that's why it primarily existed as a studio project. I play in Hybrid Nightmares live now, so that's kind of covered.
Sure. And you've just released a brutally heavy song, Victory, mate. So tell us a bit about it musically and what you're going for with it.
Yeah, well, it's a good one because I do psychedelic metal, and my musical message is coming from psychedelic realm. Whichever way you interpret that, it's up to you. But it's kind of meant to be really cathartic and really, you know, pierce through the regular meanings and just kind of show the other side of things in a good way. And so Victory is about overcoming past trauma, overcoming depression, and overcoming some personal obstacles into growth. And like, I guess the main message of the track is, if you want something from life, you gotta bloody work hard for it. You'll be rewarded eventually, but there is a big step to be taken, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself and with your, you know, actions, and never allow yourself to not push through, I guess. That's how it came for me. That's the song about that sort of realization, and I wanted to share it with others so that maybe someone else will take a step in their life, hopefully.
Yeah, cool. And you're quoted as saying that Victory is the best, most sincere and cathartic song that I've ever written. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, it just came after a very cathartic realization about some personal stuff which I had to overcome quite quickly, and therefore it just became so you know, I just became so passionate about working hard on myself and developing myself, and therefore Victory represented that in songwriting. So I actually wrote that intro riff in one of the darkest moments, when I was completely overwhelmed with immigration, completely overwhelmed with lab work, because I was working in the lab. I was trying to build my studio. I haven't had enough time. I just wrote that intro riff being completely overwhelmed, completely down, but that sounded so uplifting to me. That was the moment where it all started, I guess, and came together, you know what I mean?
Yep. And we mentioned this before, but the song features Mike Heller from Fear Factory on drums and Jon Howard from Threat Signal on vocals. So how did working with them come together?
Yeah, so we met on the website called metalforhire.com. It's a legit website, somehow unknown. Quite awesome people are there. And we first collaborated on the 2020 track, but then, yeah, we just continued our relationship. It's all been done remotely via emails. We never met even on Zoom like we do with you right now. Just emails. And yeah, I took a lot of effort in putting those parts together before they hit those guys.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of pre-production, a lot of writing in MIDI. I wrote some vocal melodies in MIDI so that Jon knows what to come up with. Lots of drum patterns were done this way, and I wrote a stack of notes, explaining what I'm after. But the actual collaboration was really easy. They just did it, and I let them do their thing and just refined it a bit, and that's it. That was really easy because they are so amazing musicians. Yeah, they just kill it.
I know it's the way of the world these days, where everyone does just sort of send stuff in over the internet. And you can be anywhere to make music, but does it make it more difficult having to sort of go? You're dealing with people all around the world, and you're not actually collaborating with them per se. Like, does it make it difficult?
In a way, well, it's. I think it just makes it a bit different to start off with, because I had to be bloody prepared. I had to come up with a roadmap and quite a particular roadmap so that they really know what they're doing, and there is no room for my mistakes. So that, like, if I don't explain myself well enough, they would do something else, and eventually it may just not work out. Whereas if you are in the room with the guys, you just collab and it just flows and makes it happen. So it's a different creative sort of process, and it's much more refined and much more structurized and less creative, I guess. So yeah, definitely makes it hard in this way.
Yeah,
it's not your traditional way.
Victory also completes the Determination Trilogy that you began with Anxiety. So how does it wrap things up?
Good one. Well, for me personally, it finalizes the story, how I started the journey of discovering what I'm after, what I'm about in my life, what sort of challenges it created with the song Determination. And then the middle track, Overcoming, was about the actual process of getting into the grid of things, and Victory was about the conclusion. So personally, for me, it's just a conceptually finalized release. For others, I guess it just ends on a high note, high energy, and it allows people to think what they are about in their lives and how can they improve it, hopefully, or just enjoy the music in general, hopefully.
Yeah. And are you going to put all three of them together and release them as an EP sort of thing? Or?
Yeah, that's done. So that has hit Spotify simultaneously with the Victory release. So it's out there like that. Yep.
Very cool.
Too much.
As you've sort of touched on, mate, like all three songs were written as a form of release for yourself. So now that journey's actually finished, like, do you think it's helped? How do you feel?
I feel relieved as hell.
Yeah.
Because, well, my main thing with those songs was some of them written in bloody 2015. Okay.
Right.
So Overcoming, the first riff was written in 2015, and it was shelved for 2 years. I couldn't even touch it. I haven't had a chance. So 7 years is a long time, and I've evolved a lot since then. And my musical perception is different. And I'm just more mature and a better guitar player, at least. So some things that I've done, I was like, should I really continue? But they had to be done. So I feel so much more relieved. And even when the songs were more refined, like Determination was done in 2018, I think. So still 4 years in the works. Victory was done 2019, 2020. So that's the freshest. Maybe that's why I'm personally so proud of it. But still, it's been a long time and it's been a long wait. And the worst thing about it was I kept going back into those, lower states of mind, more depressed, more anxious, whatever. Just those states that I captured in the tracks that I wanted to kind of, signify and get out. I kept coming back to them when working on the tracks. So once this became out, but basically last Friday, I just feel heaps relieved because it's done and dusted. The journey has been completed.
So they're giving you closure in some respects.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Cool. So any future music, like, is it going to be structured around similar sort of themes, or are you just going to write individual sort of tracks from now on?
Who knows? So with this project, I consider it completed, really. What happens next with my personal songwriting, I'm not sure. I might explore lower tunings, maybe 7-string, stuff like that. Haven't ever done that, have never owned a 7-string, so it'd be just cool to experiment with a different sound. I also want to do film scoring, cinematic scoring, and I've done a little bit of that with very much heavy metal influence on a synthesizer, but without the guitar or without much of a guitar. So it has the feel of something really intense and heavy, but it doesn't actually sound like heavy metal, so that it's more accessible for wider audience, and it's a bit of a sneak peak way for you know, your non-metal listener to get involved into something heavy without even realizing that. So these are two outlets that I'm gonna do, and obviously Hybrid Nightmares, which I'm live guitarist for. They've completed an album, so I haven't been able to write together yet, but that definitely will happen in the future. So probably, yeah.
Cool. I just want to say this before we go, mate, just in case there's some people out there that are snobbish like myself. Like a lot of people, you can see the word solo project, and like I know myself, you don't think that it's going to be that big, I suppose, and that massive of a sound. But on Victory, mate, you've managed to capture something that's phenomenal. So anyone out there listening to this, I think, don't put aside all your prejudices of things like maybe solo artists think they haven't got what it takes, and have a listen, because this will surprise the fuck out of you.
Cheers, Chris. That's so much appreciated. Yeah.
My pleasure, brother. Well, thanks for your time again today, Mike. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, mate. Best of luck with everything in the future. You've got some talent there, bro. Don't waste it.
Cheers. Much appreciated. Thanks so much.